Hello and welcome to my retro watches. If you're new to the channel, my name is Mike and this video is all about this Bulova watch. It's an automatic movement, it's got 23 jewels and it doesn't run. And I chose this one, or rather should I say you guys chose this one to restore next. I ran a little bit of a poll in the community tab of my channel and also on my Instagram and on Facebook and in the Facebook group that I run. And we had the three options of the Seiko Skyline, the Accurus with the ETA movement, and the Bulova. I'll put a photo of them up now as well so you can see those in case you missed everything that we were talking about. And there was an overwhelming desire to see the Bulova. We had 59 votes for that one, and we had 36 for the Seiko, and only 17 for the Accurus, which is a shame really, because the Accurus does look like a really cool movement. Now rest assured, they will all come to the channel at some point. I don't exactly know when, because I've got loads of watches now. I've been inundated with ones to bring to the channel, some great names as well. So I'll just fit them in. I'm trying to not do as many Seikos anymore because I've done loads already, as you guys might know. So the plan, as always, is we'll go to the bench in just a moment. You'll be able to see this watch closer up and we'll disassemble. We'll clean the parts and then we'll reassemble and hope we can get it running and hope we can find the issue that lies within. Also, just while we're at it, I am just a hobbyist. I'm not a professional in any way. Everything you see that I do, I've just taught myself, and I'm trying to just show you that I can do it, and if I can do it, this is a great hobby for lots of you guys out there. So please don't be too critical if my terminology is incorrect, or maybe I use some of the wrong techniques that could be frowned upon by the more advanced or even the professionals out there. I am just, like I say, a hobbyist. So without further ado, let's cut to the bench. Let's get looking at this rather nice Bulova. Okay, here we are on the bench and you can see the watch finally. And now unfortunately we get a lot of reflection on my lighting here, so you can't quite, or maybe you can because I can't tell. The colour of the dial is great. It's like a dark blue and then it's like an electric blue. It has almost a texture to it as well. So really interesting dial. The case is gold, but it's gold plated, and I'm not sure whether you're going to be able to see, but up here it says 20, and I'll show you what that means in just a moment. So anyway, that's what it looks like, and we're going to take the case back off, which I'll do quickly now because I've already loosened it. So before I get onto the movement, the case back is here, and of course it says there 20 microns, so it's quite a thick layer of gold plating, so very pleasing. And I looked closely at the case back, and again I don't think it's going to come out on camera. There is a service mark here inscribed, and there is one over here as well. So at some point in time it's had at least 2 services. Now I don't know how old this watch is, I've not really researched it, but look at that movement. Just that is really nice. I do like these gold colour movements. It's just a bit of extra detail, and it's always a shame really that they put steel backs on them. I think most mechanical watches should have a display back really. Certainly for people like me who love looking at the mechanics, there's nothing more wonderful than that sort of sight there, and that's all hidden under the case back normally. On the rotor itself, getting really bad reflection here. This is the movement number, so it's 11 ANA CD. Bulova or Bulova, I'm not sure how we say it. 23 jewels, and you can just make the outline there of a B. So it's signed. Really nice. Really nice touch. So before I start taking it apart, I'll just show you one of the most obvious problems I've got. So it whines. No problem there at all, but it whines forever and ever and ever and ever. Never gets any tighter, and the rotor will never spin around. The rotor is free. I can sort of just gently give it a wobble there. There's nothing wrong with the rotor. What am I talking about? The balance. And the stem just refuses to stay in. Now the immediate problem with that, which is the first thing I looked at off camera, to be honest with you, when I got this watch, stem release screw is here, and I won't really be able to demonstrate it very well, but that screw just goes round and round and round and round. So it's not gripping, and so I don't know what's wrong with it at the moment. It could be that I don't know, it's detached from the setting lever itself, which holds the stem in place, or it could be something much worse. I guess we'll only find out when we take the movement apart. So immediately I'm concerned with obviously that, and the fact that it constantly whines and doesn't get any sort of resistance at all, which would indicate a mainspring problem. So let's crack on. I'll get the movement out of the case, and we'll start the disassembly properly. So actually, before I take it out of the case, I wanted to remove the rotor because they tend to get in the way. And we had one case clamp screw and clamp here, and on the other side, weirdly, the screw's there, but the clamp is missing. So that's even weirder, that you would lose the clamp but not lose the screw. You can buy those little clamps. I'll just show you what they look like. So you can buy sets of these, you know, on eBay or anywhere really. So I will try and replace that at some point. I'm just surprised that the screw's there and that's not, that's all. So I've had a quick look as well about how to remove the rotor, because it looks really complicated. This is my first time in one of these movements, and we have all of this assembly here, and that I'm assuming is all part of the how it transfers the power from the rotor all the way to the mainspring. So when I rotate these just a little bit, you can see some of the wheels moving. So it's quite an elaborate train there, so that should be fun. And there's no screw, of course, to remove the rotor, but I'm looking at it and I'm thinking that this, whatever this screw is, if I look closely underneath there, it looks like it's going somewhere. So that is the first screw I'm going to remove. Okay. So the question is, will the rotor now come off? I'll bring in some Rodico. Yeah, there we go. Rodico is usually pretty good for things like that. So now the rotor's off, let's get the movement out properly. So again, just try and show you the dial. I don't really want to try and touch it with my fingers, but it is a shame. Maybe the photos at the end of this video will do it a bit of justice, because it's really is nice. A nice shade of blue anyway. Removing the hands is going to be a bit tricky because I cannot move them because of the problem with the crown. I like to obviously line them all up together because it makes removal a bit easier. So I will try my best in this position that they're in now. I use these Horotech 2.5mm hand levers, and they are the best tool ever for this job, really are. So now I better remove the dial, and to do that I need to look for dial feet, but I've got this sort of movement ring in the way, and I'm not quite sure how that is fitted, so I have to do a slight pry action because obviously I don't want to damage the dial or pull the dial out, but no, I don't like that. That's it's almost like it's stuck. It does seem to be coming away. It still doesn't want to come off even at this point. So this is surely that's got it. Nope. Goodness. Aha, there we are. It's now released. Way. Well, that's heart in your mouth stuff. Okay, I just need to look for some dial screws and then I can remove the dial. So here we are on the calendar side, and again, sorry for the reflection. The workings look pretty nice. What I can see is a little spring here, so I have to watch out for that. But otherwise, it's looking pretty straightforward. We can take the hour wheel out the way. Can't tell whether that's supposed to be removed yet. So I think we'll just start stripping it down and take it from there. A little bit of Rodico again. Remove that guard plate. And I didn't want it to go anywhere near that spring, and it it nearly did. Okay, so pegwood to the rescue on that. And now hopefully the day disc should come off. Not very well, but it did. So now we've got that out of the way, let's have a look at the keyless, because that's where we have the problem, and that is the set-in lever there. And it's extremely loose. Now, why is that loose? Right, okay. I don't know whether you'd be able to see that, but that movement would indicate that the screw is sheared. So we'll disassemble this part and we'll soon find out, won't we? So despite these little issues, I do like the look of this movement, I have to say. It's my first time in a mechanical Bulova. I've only done the Accutrons before, and I have to say I like it. Well, that's definitely confirmed there, look. So it's come out, and that will be the head or the thread of it, and it even looks to me, well, yes, I don't know, again, I don't know if you can see that, the bottom of the screw is in the setting lever. So I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to do there, see if I can find the part, but for now we'll just set it to one side, and then we'll deal with the yoke spring. Well, I don't need to because the yoke has already risen above the spring. That's a bit of a relief. So next is going to be this sort of bridge thing here, and then we'll figure out what happens with that gear. I'm assuming maybe it stays there. It's part of the bridge, but we'll find out in a moment. And yes, it comes away with the bridge, along with another wheel as well. So there's a whole bunch of them here. Have what looks like a transmission wheel, and then that wheel is integrated into that slot. Oh no, hang on, it does look like it comes out. Well, we'll find that out soon enough. That's the cannon pinion, which is also loose. And this will be the day wheel finger that changes the date at 12 o'clock. Extraordinary how they've put two sort of transmission wheels here to take the power from the crown. Honestly can't get hold of that one. And in doing so, I've removed the clutch instead. There we go. So hopefully those two gears or wheels are exactly the same. Because if they're not, I'm going to have a really hard time of trying to figure out which one goes where. So there's one other thing that caught my eye, and that is this spring here. Now the thing is with that, and I don't want to keep messing with the tweezers, is I've seen this sort of spring before, and they can be integrated into the main plate. So if I hold it up to the light where I can now see it as well, yeah, it looks like that's the case. So just up here it's going round, and it's like that bit's almost been folded over it. So that's definitely been held into place securely, and I don't think I need to remove that. So essentially that is the calendar side completed. So we'll flip it over and we'll do the movement now. Right, here it goes. We'll start with this train bridge here and see what that's going to reveal, because it's looking like it's quite complicated. Well, look at all of that. That is one hell of a lot of engineering going on there by the looks of things. A serious progression of gears to transfer the rotor power. So that this is the ratchet wheel on the mainspring, and then the crown wheel, and it's all being driven off that. And I guess these are the opposite sort of wheels. Depending on which way the rotor's going to spin, it's going to transfer the power no matter which way it goes. So quite well thought out. I'm just taking a note in my brain now of which wheel goes where. So normally if you were doing this yourself and you're not filming like I am, then you'd be taking lots of photographs. Well, they're interesting wheels. Hoping this one is the same. Yep. So there we have it. that's all the automatic works removed, and I'll put them away safely in a moment, and we'll crack on and have a look at that ratchet wheel. So I'll just try and show you what I mean. So basically I can just turn that and I get 0 resistance, and of course the balance isn't going. So something's gone wrong in the barrel, almost certainly. So I'll remove the ratchet, and then I'll have to be a little bit careful because guaranteed there's a spring underneath there. There sure is. Look at that for a set-in lever spring. Wow, it's going all the way around there, and a kink in it and then across. So definitely Bulova were interesting at their own design. So how am I going to remove that? So this bit, can I get that bit out of the way? Yes, I can. And the usual pegwood, cap the end off, take the pressure off, there we go, spring out. Okay, so that's great. That was pretty harmless, although I have to say that it's always easier to take these things apart. It's another thing when you come to put them back together again. So I think we'll go into the barrel from here. There's just 2 screws. It's actually trying to remove the barrel with it. Even the barrel's gold. Typical. Right, I've heard about these. I've never seen them. Again, let's just take the autofocus off and see if it's going to focus on the writing on the top. Because what it says is it says lifetime power, do not open. Do not open. Well, I'm probably going to have to. We'll save that till the end, I think, because I'll show you a little way to just double check that that isn't, that it is broken or something's wrong with it. Right, so we're going to be nearly there now. We just need to take this, the main train bridge off. And we have 3 screws on this one. Haven't quite undone that one properly. And then this one's a odd shape. But then that's where that sort of clamp was for the rotor, so clearly that's why it's a different size. There we have the train. These should just lift out quite easily. And that is that screw. Yeah. Typically it's not going to focus for us, or is it? That's the setting lever screw, and that is definitely broken. So 100% got to find that part. So we'll remove the balance. And these always have a little slot for the screwdriver, so you can just lever it. As always, this is the one part that you really don't want to damage. Okay, just the escape and the pallets to come out now, and that is the complete strip down. Pallet fork. And the escape wheel. The only other thing is this, I don't know what this is, some sort of spring. So I will remove that as well before cleaning. But essentially that is it. So disassembly is completed, and that was alright actually. I didn't think that was too bad. Well, I'm not looking forward to putting that automatic works back on. But the rest of it is following the normal watch rules. The normal set of train wheels and stuff. And it does look really nice, and perhaps when it's been cleaned it might even look even nicer. So okay, let's just tidy up the bench and have a look at that mainspring. So I've put the barrel arbor into a pin vise here, and just to demonstrate, doesn't matter which way I turn that, I get absolutely no resistance. So despite it saying do not open, I feel that I have absolutely zero choice to do just that. I have to open it. And there we have it. It is confirmed, 100%. Mainspring has snapped. Let me just hold that a bit closer. So we need a setting lever and screw, and hopefully I can get this mainspring. So with that, I'll cut to the cleaning montage, and you'll see me on the other side of that, hopefully with the new parts as well, so we can finish this watch off and get it built and be able to put it back into use. So see you on the other side of the cleaning. Hello and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the cleaning montage, and for you guys that was just a few minutes. For me this has been over a week. I've been waiting for the parts quite impatiently really, but there we go. Had to get a new mainspring. Obviously the other one had snapped, and I bought this one from Cousins. Fortunately they listed it on their site, so I was able to obtain it just under 20 UK pounds. So that's pretty good. And then I had to find the setting lever and the screw, and there it is, all original part. Surprisingly I found this quite easily on eBay once I'd found out the caliber number and the part number, but it took over a week to get here, which was really annoying. It's not the seller's fault from eBay, it's just the postal service was exceptionally slow and I'm exceptionally impatient. So I'll install the new mainspring and then we can start the assembly in earnest and hopefully get this thing up and running in no time. Well, here we are 5 days later with yet another mainspring. So I had major problems with the first one, so much so that it actually broke, and it was really annoying. I'll just bring it into shot now. So here it is, and I used the Cousins chart to source the mainspring. It's the one they recommended with the right correct sizes. When you're looking at sizes, you're looking at the length, and you're looking at the sort of height or the thickness, the thickness of the spring, the height of the spring, and then the diameter or the inner diameter of the barrel. And so this selected this spring. It turned up as you saw just a moment ago, and what I found was this end curl, which is now missing a bit, I have to say, was too big for the arbor. So the arbor just would not, or the hook on the arbor would not engage in the slot on the spring, and thus would not wind. And I hit my group asking people for help, and people basically said you're on a slippery slope because it's very difficult to try and manipulate these springs, but nevertheless it's what I did. I got a strong pair of tweezers and I sort of tried to pinch one side and the other. I won't be able to do it very well on camera, and tried to squeeze it in, and to be fair I got it working to an extent, and I would be testing in the pin vise and it would catch for a little while, but it just wouldn't hold any strength. So had a few more attempts at doing this, and then typically the last little bit there broke off, and it's really annoying because this spring cost me nearly £20 and I'll never be able to use it, and I can't return it. So what was I going to do? I didn't want to go and buy the same one again and hope that the curl was smaller. So I asked a friend of mine, Mr. Simon Coop, who's been mentioned before on this channel. He's a professional in our group. Asked him what I should do, and he suggested that if I went slightly smaller on the diameter of the barrel measurement. So the barrel measurement, for instance, was 10mm. So we found a spring that was 9.5mm, and all the rest of the dimensions were correct. And the logic was that a slightly smaller diameter would reduce the end curl, if you like, and that might work. So the end result is here we are with another mainspring. This mainspring, ironically, is to fit an Omega, and it was half the price. It was £10. Can't believe it. So hopefully this is going to work. Now, it's not going to show on camera very well. That's the original one that was broken when we took the watch apart. And I've been trying to, I haven't took it out of the packet obviously, but I've been trying to gauge the two together, and to me it looks pretty much the right size. So I'm going to try and fit it and hope that it's going to work, because this video has been going on for nearly 2 weeks now, which is very unusual for me. I normally can make a video in a couple of days, so it's been very frustrating. Okay, and we're going to be off straight away with the build. I've managed to get the mainspring in the barrel, and it seems like it's okay, certainly on a pin vise. So I'm just going to put some Molykote DX for the barrel arbor. We're going to fit that first along with its bridge. And that's one bridge secure. That seems to be moving quite well. And traditionally for me, I'm going to put a bit of Mobius DX, there's no such thing. Mobius D5 on the top. A few of you have asked me why I grease the bottom and oil the top. I don't have an explanation for that really. I just seem to think that the bottom probably might be under a little bit more friction, who knows, so I protect it more with grease. That's the only logic sitting there. So now that's in, it's a case of fitting the train. And we have the escape. This particular wheel is quite fiddly to get in. This is like the drive wheel for the mainspring. And then we have the fourth wheel. And I don't think it's going to focus, but I'm just going to put a little bit of oil onto there. I need to have a look at that bit closer to make sure that they're lined up before I put the bridge on. Okay, I think the wheels are okay. And they're not fine in position, so let's go to the microscope. And there we go, just give the escape a nudge. It's a little bit out of focus for me. And there we go. It is actually in. I didn't think it was. Not sure how much again you saw of that. My eyesight's getting poorer all the time. So the microscope sometimes I think is in blur for you, or it's just my eyesight looking at the camera. I can never tell. Okay, off camera there, I just put the screws in, and I also just dropped in the screw down here, which is the set-in lever screw, the one that was broken. So that's the new one. And I'm just going to move the barrel, and hopefully you can see the train is moving freely. And before I oil any of the jewels, I'm just going to set the click works in place and get the ratchet wheel on also. So if you remember, this had quite an interesting looking spring, or it was for me. Very interesting shape, and having it that way is the wrong way. We need to turn it. There we are. And there's the click itself. And then the ratchet wheel. Okay, we can tighten that up. And I'm just going to hold the wheel with my pegword just so I can get it that little bit tighter, and then with half a turn or a turn we get the desired effect. I'm not too sure if that sounded that healthy to me. I don't know, maybe it's okay. But either way, it's installed and that's the main thing. I wasn't looking forward to that spring. So happy days so far. So next to do is the pallet fork, and I'll need to oil the pallet fork before I put it in. I know that's not the proper way to do it. We should be oiling it in situ, but I found it much easier to just do it on the microscope. I've got it just in a bit of Rodico, as you can see. And hopefully that comes through, but that's all I'm doing, the exit jewel, and then I just need to seat that in the movement. Now I'm just going to seat it in. Find it so much better on a microscope, and one day I might review this microscope on the channel. I know a few of you guys have asked for that. So once I'm happy with that, put the balance cock on and then check that the pivots are in place, and that will be the pallets installed. There we go. Okay, so the pallet fork is in, and I'm just going to put a little bit of power into the mainspring, and then we'll get an indication if the pallets are working by just giving it a nudge. And that looks okay to me. So before I do oil some of the jewels, I'm going to install the balance because I'm a bit nervous, and obviously I haven't seen this thing running yet. So let's get the balance in and see if it's going to fire up. What I'd normally do here is get my eyes right down close so that I can see everything, but it's just that little bit difficult because I'm hampered by everything here. But there we go. It is moving, albeit quite slowly. So let's get the screw in first of all. Not sure what to say. It's definitely running, which is the main thing. I'll put some more power into the spring. I don't know. If I take the autofocus off, let you have a look. I don't know, my eyes suggest that's running a little bit slow. Or rather, that it hasn't got a lot of amplitude. It looks like it's going sort of too fast, but not spinning enough. However, I'm all out of words. I'm going to oil the jewels and then we'll take it from there. Now I will say actually at this point that the lower shock jewel I've already pre-oiled. I've got to do this one of course and then all the others on the main plate. So I'll do the top ones on the camera now and I'll do that one. They're a difficult little setting and you've seen me do these quite a few times really, so I don't think I'll film it on this occasion. But I'll oil them and then see if we get any improvement, and then we'll put it on the Timegraph before we start building anything else and see how well or poorly it is going. Okay, so it's Mobius D. Oops, my oiler's quite dirty. It's going to be Mobius 9010 for everything I'm going to oil that you will see here now. Right, here we go with the assembly of the auto works, and I've actually oiled all the jewels necessary and put a bit of grease on that pinion there, and I was going to film that but the camera is on the microphone. The microscope has just decided to pack up, so great one. And perhaps I'm not sounding too enthusiastic about this particular build. Normally I'm jumping for joy when I see the balance wheel spinning, and believe me, I am. I've taken a dead watch once again, and at least I've got it running. It's just in the back of my mind, I do worry that it's not running as well. But then the more I look at it even now, the more confident I'm feeling that it actually, in fact, it's not that bad at all. And maybe it's just my mind playing tricks. This one's been kicking around for weeks, as I said, so I'm starting to get paranoid perhaps. So the first wheel on, it's going to be the crown wheel. And we just need to make sure that it's meshed, which it is. Then I've got a combination of big wheels and small wheels. And that one, of course, what am I doing? Doesn't go there. The small one does. That one doesn't like to sit. There we go. We have this drive wheel here. And here lies the problem. I should have put that on first, look. Oh. Don't you just love it when that happens? There we go. I think that's lined up. Now that one's not back in its position either. There. Okay, and the last two. Just need to take the autofocus off for this. Or put it on, should I say. So you can see this has got this little gear, if you like, on the bottom. And on both of these, when they came off, they look like that. Actually, when they went through the cleaning machine, they separated because these are actually separate parts. and they sort of mesh on the back, which is not going to be able to show. They've got sort of teeth on either way and the interlock. So I've just used some Molykote DX grease, and they're now sort of sitting like that, and with luck they're going to fit into position. As I say, these are all to do with the rotor going either way and still being able to provide power to the mainspring. So I'm kind of happy that they are lined up. The bridge is going to be a little bit more tricky. Seems like it's in position, but we'll find out. Or to put the screws in loosely. And now something's jammed there, so I'll have to go onto the microscope and just have a quick look as to what is not sitting right. Well, that was quick and easy. It was literally just one of those that just was not in. And now if I move those, you can hear it ratcheting. So I'm pleased with that. That's that side done. I'm still looking at that balance the whole time and thinking, is that running right? But if it isn't, I'll have to live with it. I really don't know. I do love these gold movements though. They are absolutely stunning to look at. So it's time to flip it over, try and get the calendar works in and the keyless, and then we're sort of on the own run. Okay, here we are on this side. And this is the driving pinion for the winding mechanism to wind the spring, and I'm just putting some Molykote DX onto that before trying to pick it up, put it in position. And then we have the clutch. It's gone in quite poorly. I always find that, you know, if something's not going in straight away, take it away, bring it back. The more you struggle, try and force things, it still doesn't want to go in, does it? Now I'm talking. The more chance that you might have a ping and the parts go flying, never to be seen again. So now that's in, we should bring in the, well, I need to, oh yeah, the yoke and the setting lever. So the setting lever should be a little bit more interesting because it's now the time of truth really to see if that's actually going to fit. And I don't think it goes like that, does it? Of course. It's going to go the other way. What am I talking about? So it's going to sit on there like that. I've got to do the screw on the other side, so I'll just sort of put some Rodico on that and screw it. Okay, so that's actually fitted, so I'm a bit relieved. Clearly the part I bought is 100% correct. So now we can figure out where the yoke goes, because I can't quite remember. It's been so long. Now this spring is going to be a little bit tricky, or is it? So as usual, get the pegwood in the right position. There, that was okay. Just going to put a little drop of D5 . These are a little bit fiddly. But there we go. And we can bring in the setting lever spring. And I can see a problem because the set-in lever is way out of position, isn't it? I think. I never like these. I just need to have another close look on that. Putting too much pressure on these, of course, snaps them, and that's the last thing I want to do. So I might have to take that off and line it up. My apologies once again. I've managed to get it working correctly. It wasn't too difficult, to be honest with you, but I wanted to do it on the microscope. I do like to show you everything, but at the same time, the last thing I want to do is break more parts on a vintage watch. That parts are quite hard to find. So it's all set up now. I do need to put some grease in that, and maybe I'll do that in a little while if I can get the camera to work and at least show you this side a bit closer up. So it's where the cannon pinion is going to sit. So I'm just putting a bit of D5 on there. And that will just slot on quite nicely. We then had this drive wheel here that is sort of interacts with both parts. I can't see if that's meshed from here. Yep. So that sits there on that spring that was always in the movement. And we have this sort of cover plate from memory. It's times like this where I do need to go back to my videos really and have a look, but that sat there. And before I do that, actually, I haven't put any oil on the post for the next wheel, so I'm just going to lift that off. So you might think that I don't use a lot of oil, but I was told by a watchmaker that if you can see it, then it's too much. So that's my new philosophy. So that fits there, and then we have that, there's a little drive wheel that I've got to sort of slot in there the other way round from memory. So this could be a little bit of fun, trying to just get that in position. I'm now wondering whether I should do that actually before I put it. Yeah, look, see, it goes in there. There we go. Or at least I think that's right. Now it doesn't seem to want to sit properly. And now I honestly can't remember which way this went, so I'm going to have to go now and refer to my other videos. Okay, I've just had a quick check, and this is the correct way. But also clearly I think I need to take this part off once again in order to get that one in position. Unsure about the springiness, but we'll put some screws in and see if it's okay. Well, this watch likes to fight me. I've just put the screws in, no problems at all there, but then when I looked at the keyless works, I found that the yoke spring had actually tucked itself under the yoke and it wasn't making the setting lever work, so I've had to take all that off, put it all back on again. So it doesn't want to be fixed, this watch, but I'm determined to win this battle for sure. So, as I say, everything seems to be working quite well now, and we're very close to the end. We've just got to put the calendar in, the spring, and the dial, and the hands, and then we're home free. So, we will start with the more tricky part, or I think it's going to be the tricky part, of getting the click spring, or the spring for the date, back in its position. Now, from memory, both of these, the long prongs if you like, the long parts, were tucked in here. And it's a bit difficult for me to see from this angle. There we go, so it's kind of in there. It's just how to bend the other one around. So it goes like that. And then we'll offer up the, I don't know what you call this part actually, but it's just the lever if you like. It holds the date in position. The last thing I want to do is get that to go walkies. Then it gets its spring motion from that there. The calendar wheel. Typically, the moment I put that on, this has now jumped out again. And the spring's come out again, hasn't it? I didn't notice that. Darn it. This is going to be fun. There we go. So while we've got it in position, quickly bring in the cover. Last thing you want to do is drop it. The cover is on, and we just need the hour wheel on, and I need to get that engaged into the two gears there. And that is meshed fine. And we just need the dial washer, and then all I need to do now is put the dial back on, and then we can fit the hands. There we go, it's ticking again. I do like it when I put the second hand on, because of course you can see it running. This watch hasn't beaten me, and I'm really pleased. So I'll be able to just tart up the case. Here it is. Just needs a quick clean and a bit of polywatch on the crystal. We can put it in the case then and show you the finished result. Now the watch is completed. I've put it on the time graph in the case, as you can see, and this is the result of my efforts. It actually took me quite a long time to regulate the thing. Just seemed that it wouldn't go right, and what we can see there now is a pretty reasonable trace, I would say. I still don't know about the amplitude, not too sure whether that's good or bad on this model, but either way it's the best I can get, so I'm going to live with it. Just to try and show you a few other angles. So that's pretty steady, little marginal error. Because I've got the strap on to do dial up position, I'll just turn it around like that. And again, pretty similar readings throughout. So I'm going to take this as a win, I really am. Now there we go, look, perfect straight line then as well. Just to round it all off. So there we go. Right guys, this is the end of the video, and if you've stuck around for this long then well done, because I know this video has been a long one. I've been wearing my Bulova now for 2 days solid, and I think it's epic. I really do like the look, I like the gold, I like the blue, I like the fact that the dial changes colour. I also like the little red indices as well, and of course I've matched it with the dark blue leather strap, complements it really well. This was my first exploration into a mechanical Bulova, and I've loved it. I really do like these gold movements. It seems to be like a little thing of mine now. I've got quite a few more coming to the channel because of this particular one, actually. So all as glitters is perhaps gold, who knows. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, because it really does help with the Google algorithm. Please leave comments below. I will read every single one, and I'll try to reply to as many as I can, because I really want to hear your views on this one. And what else can I say? I've got lots and lots of watches planned for the coming months. I've got a box full of them, in fact, at least 10 to come to the channel. Some very good, interesting mates, so stick around for those. Don't forget to check out the Facebook group, Retro Vintage Watches and Restorations. There's a massive amount of people in there now from all over the world, and we all love watches, so come and join the fun there. And if you want to check out my website, myretrowatches.co.uk, you can see my entire collection on there. And of course there's a page with all my affiliate links for the tools. If you want to try and support the channel in some way, you can buy some tools from there, and I get a little monetary kickback, which allows me to buy more projects to bring to the channel. And for those of you who have bought, because there has been quite a few of you, thank you very much. I really do appreciate everything that you do for me. So I'll catch you in the next video very, very soon. I'm going to start filming literally as I finish this film. So bye for now.